Now, this topic became incredibly important during the pandemic, but actually, as we move forward into this new kind of hybrid way of working and the blurring line between work and personal life, it's going to become even more important that we find ways to properly separate our work from life to be able to transition between one and the other. I think we've all had that challenge where whether it's family, kids, or whatever it is, you've spent a busy day at work, you've literally just closed the laptop down, maybe you've slid it across the dining room table because that's where you're working, or you've come out of your office, you're straight downstairs, you have to sit at the dining room table and have a family dinner. And what you want to be doing during that time is really engaging with the family, asking about their day, having that enjoyment and really enjoying that meal. But you've still got the day in the back of your head. You still got that stress of maybe it was a uncomfortable meeting, maybe it was an important deadline that you hadn't been able to reach, and it blurs that line and it really brings the stress or the elation or whatever it is back and forward, and you struggle to control it. Historically we had our commute, and even if it was a short commute, whether that was driving the car, getting the bus, walking, cycling, however you got to and from work, you had that natural separation that you left your house, you locked your door, you had this routine that you went through that meant that you could compartmentalize a lot better, obviously not ideally between work and personal life, but all that's kind of gone now. So the idea of this lesson is to give you some simple tips that you can build into the routines that we've been talking about, and also a really neat way, I think, about how to put in some intentions and separation between work and personal life. So the plan here is to create that separation between work and life, and we're going to put in a pre and post work ritual. And it's those things that are going to get you into the right headspace. If you follow sport, you'll quite often see that sports stars have a ritual that they'll do, even if it's like left sock, and left boot, right boot, or maybe it's touching the grass as they come out to a match, or touching a symbol. It's mental, visual, physical cues to switch between one situation and another, and it's incredibly powerful. And you'll see a lot of people doing these pre-talk routines, and maybe that's one for another video where I have a routine that I go through before I speak on stage or do something that's very public. But the idea is we're going to put a ritual in here. It can be big, it can be little, to separate work from life. I've heard people talk about getting in their car, driving around the block, getting out of the car, going into the house to do that separation. Also, people changing clothes, so putting a suit on or whatever they do that can give them that very physical cue or very obvious cue. I mean, like we said about habits, it needs to be, the cue needs to be obvious. It needs to be something really clear, because that way you can align to it a lot better. So here's an example of a morning routine, and again, these things are incredibly personal. That it's what works for you. But the key is to be intentional as you move between things. So, first of all, when you're thinking about a morning routine, a really good one is not checking your email before you're ready for work. And this is to reduce that kind of blend time and also reduce that stress that you may get from reading an email or having that emotion that you need to start working. So, you spend the morning on yourself and your family as needed. And then when you're ready to start your work, maybe it's get a drink, and it's set up your desk, power on your laptop, make a thing of it. So it's actually taking your laptop out of a drawer or a bag or something. When we're working from home, they quite often just stay on the desk where we're working. Maybe you've put it to sleep, so you're literally just kicking it on, having more of an intentional thing that you need to do. So physically moving it or opening it, pressing a power button, putting it back down. Now, the next thing is, and this is incredibly important, is around setting your intentions. I really like doing this where you sit in the chair, close your eyes, set your intentions. So for me, it's very much around running through the three things that I want to achieve today. What's important, what are the things that are going to move me, my organization, my life forward, and then opening my eyes with a fresh, this is what I'm working on. Next could be to review or set your agenda. Yeah, depending on whether you've done your time blocking or whether you've planned your day out. Review through it, visualize what you need to do, and really get yourself into that headspace of I'm entering work. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is my intentions. This is what I'm going to have done by the end of it. Really focus on that side. So what you've seen is it's really simple steps, but it's having like that physical cue of moving the laptop round. It's having that trigger point of when you're starting. You could have it where you get changed. So you may get up in the morning and it's gym clothes on because you're going to do some exercise, or maybe it's just a pair of sort of loungewear, and then changing into whether it's smart clothes or not, just a different set of clothes just to add that cue time in. Setting your intentions, spending a little bit of time doing that preparation and planning, and then really going into work. It's almost like that's your 30-second walk as you came through reception, said hello to the receptionist, and now you are walking to your desk. It's that kind of headspace where you'd start to transition your day in. Next is an example about the end of day, and I think this is actually trickier because I think a lot more people will check their emails in the evening. They'll sort of drift back and forward between work. They'll think that they can just catch up a little bit, but as we've talked about through most of our habits, it's that real focus on stress. So put the work in plus rest. So having that time to yourself, having those personal interests, having that family interaction time, and that's where the growth comes from. I try and set a rule that basically says I don't do anything strenuous, whether that's physical exercise or like mental work after dinner. So having a end of day routine that ties around dinner is a really good way of doing it. So you could be power down your laptop and disconnect your laptop and put it away. Really symbolizing the end of the day. So that could be in your laptop bag, it could be into your drawer, just something that's symbolizing putting it away. Trying something like release meditation, which I'll talk about on the next slide, which is a really powerful way of clearing your mind. I really like to do reflection at this stage as well. So maybe that's you doing your journaling. So what worked well today? What didn't go so well today? What are your priorities for tomorrow? And maybe doing your time blocking for tomorrow. So that way, when you shut that laptop, when you get up from your desk, you are planned and prepared for the next day. And that's an incredibly powerful thing to have. Next one is set your intentions. So what are you doing next? So maybe that's going to the gym. Maybe it's going down for dinner. Maybe it's going to play with the kids. Maybe it's going to see a friend. Set the intentions about what you're going to do, what you want to get out of that session, whether it's enjoyment, learning, interaction, excitement, exercise, and then leave the room and have it kind of cleared away. Now, this is something that was introduced to me, and I learned it from Brenda Bouchard, and it's around how to create that mindset of high performance, how to really move intentionally between one situation and the next. And it's probably the best way that I've found to put an air gap or a stop between one sort of area of focus and the next. And this is really good for scheduling in, clearing your mind, allowing you to transform from you know, work mode to mum and dad mode or to friend mode or to sports star or whatever you need to be at the next stage. And I promise you, it is very powerful. It does sound slightly silly, but it's strong in the way that it changes your mind and also the way you have to switch your focus. So, firstly, find a quiet space, ideally not at your desk. So that could be you going to your bedroom, it could be going to another room. If it is at your desk, just spin your chair around so you're not facing at your screen so you can't, be tempted to keep looking. Take a few deep breaths. So you really sit back in the chair, take a few deep breaths, listen to your breathing. So start to think about the rise and fall of your chest. And then you can set a timer on your watch, you know, 2 minutes to start with. Ideally, you'd like to work up to maybe 10 minutes to get full benefit, but I think 2 minutes is a fantastic starter. And then clear your mind and start repeating the word release. So all you do is you can do it in your head, you can do it out loud, but you've got your eyes closed, you're breathing slowly, and you're saying release, 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 release. And you keep repeating that over. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Just stop, acknowledge it, and then go back to saying it. At the end of your 2 minutes or however long you're doing it for, you then want to set your intentions. So again, this is, I'm going to go be parent, husband, wife, partner, sports star, whatever you need to be. So think for a few seconds about what you're doing next, why it's important to you, and how you want to be. How do you want to act? And then go live it. The importance of saying release is it's focus. You have to think about those words. So the idea is the thoughts from the day that keep trying to slip back in. Maybe it's that email, maybe it's the presentation, maybe it's an interaction that you had. You can't continuously have those while you're saying a word. And it's similar to when we talk about people doing hobbies. It's really powerful to do hobbies that you have to focus on. So you have to, provide mastery, and you have to have that level of attention. And that's where the escapism really comes. And that's how you build this air gap. So just to recap on this one, we're looking at creating those pre and post work routines, and it can be something that works for you. So whether that's the changing of clothes, whether it's the laptop in and out of the drawer. I actually saw a really good one where someone that was coming home from work, them and their daughter would take the work mobile phone and they would put it in. It was like a little box that they'd put a little lining to it, and they put it in, and basically they were putting the work phone to bed. And I'm aware that some people feel like they can't do that, but maybe it's that you come in the door and you have this ritual with the family that does something. Maybe it's the phone goes in a different room, or maybe it's your laptop bag is put in a place out of the way, just something that really grounds you to what you're trying to do. So you're making it obvious. And back to the stress plus rest equals growth. It's so important. There'll always be more work than time. There'll always be that desire to work in the evening, that desire to start earlier in the day, but it's important to separate work from life so you can enjoy both, and then the two can work a lot closer together. So I hope you like the video, and I'll see you on a future one.